Hi, I'm D.R.C. Raming, Chairman of the National Sport Academy Committee. The purpose of this report is to explain how the National Sport Academy Council will develop the National Sport Academy and all of the associated parts of it to take our athletes from grassroots to elite level. Of course, this will not be done in a vacuum. We have to look at the three autonomous bodies that are responsible for sports in the country. That is the Bahamas Olympic Committee, the new National Sport Academy Council, and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. The Bahamas Olympic Committee has a very clear role: to commit to the development of athletes and to support the development of sport for all programs and high performance sport in the Bahamas, to participate in the training of sports administrators by organizing educational programs, to ensure that athletes from their respective nations attend the Olympic Games. It's important to note that only an NOC is able to select and send teams and competitors for participation in the Olympic Games. This means that the Bahamas Olympic Committee plays an extremely important role. The role of the MOYSC is a little bit different. The building of new venues, the maintenance of existing venues, and the administration of national grassroots programs in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and the Family Islands. By administration, I mean things like scheduling, human resources, facilities management, and event planning. Now, how will the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture grassroots programs be staffed and funded? National federations will provide volunteers and paid coaches. These will be funded by BOC development grants, private sponsors, and the requirement that a percentage of the government grant the federations receive now go towards development. If national federations do not cooperate, other viable sports associations will be given a chance to host programs. And that brings us to the role of the National Sport Academy Council. In a nutshell, the NSA Council is responsible for optimizing the country's resources to meet the 10,000 developmental hours an athlete requires to be consistently competitive at a world level in most sports. And so that's the development triangle that we will be talking about in this report, and how the NSAC will develop to make this a reality. The following is a presentation of the National Sports Development Academy Blueprint. The NSDA is the most effective means of addressing the government's agenda to develop a nationally funded training program to ensure that all sports talents throughout the Bahamas have an opportunity to develop their full potential. This will be accomplished through the NSDA Council that optimizes private and public sector assets and resources with a view to creating a well-structured sports culture. The benefits of a well-structured sports culture are well known, and they include, but are not limited to, a reduction of crime, a more disciplined culture, and a sports industry that has an economic value. For example, Singapore plans to add 20,000 jobs and $1.6 billion to its economy by the year 2015 through its sports tourism product. A working committee was established with clear objectives from the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Dr. Daniel Johnson, and officials including industry professionals, with the aim of determining what is the best way to implement a national sporting academy in the Bahamas. Many sources were consulted, including the Bahamas Olympic Committee, private education systems in New Providence, Grand Bahama, and the Family Islands. A visit to Cuba to examine their entire sporting system and sport complexes. A visit to Puerto Rico to look at their national sport academy and to see how it would fit within our culture. The key findings are: number one, the need for athletes to practice at least 20 hours a week to be competitive on an international level. Number two, the benefits of a residential component to control the athlete's environment, for example, nutrition, bedtime, and other activities. Number three, the need for a longer and more flexible school day to accommodate practice as well as meet the educational requirements. Here's a sample school day, Sunday night to Friday afternoon. 5 a.m. wake up, 5:30 to 7 a.m. morning practice, 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. regular school, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. rest, tutoring, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. afternoon practice, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. dinner, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. study and homework, and 9 p.m. bedtime. Now, in order to develop the human potential, it requires an understanding of the development triangle, which takes us from the grassroots level programs all the way to the Olympic levels. Each level requires a different level of commitment, resources, and strategies. Grassroots level programs provide a feeder system into the NSA talent selection, and they should come from the Family Islands, the Grand Bahama, as well as New Providence. The following actions are going to be necessary to create an NSDA. In the first phase, we will establish an act that will create a statutory board, confirm executive and administrative officers, provide office space, and confirm a budget. By phase 2, we will expand on the committee's initial work. This will be done by identifying existing centers and private sport academies with a view to accredit, to regulate, and to facilitate them. An example of this will be the Max D Sporting Academy, which has both an educational component as well as a physical sport component to it. Another example is the Moores Island Track Program, which has an educational, residential, and sport component. In phase 3, we will use the existing assets and resources to expand the National Sports Development Academy brand. High-level talks are already underway to establish a sports college at the College of the Bahamas through the Continuing Education Unit. The sports college at COB will train coaches, referees, and administrators and create a national circuit. Entry-level coaches will be sent into the Family Islands. Then students will be talent selected from these programs in the Family Islands, Nassau or New Providence, and Grand Bahama. These talent selected students will be put in centers of excellence. Then they will be further talent selected to go towards the National Sport Academy. National teams can also access other resources such as sports psychologists, nutritionists, and other experts from the Sports Academy. COB has existing facilities for a multi-purpose room, a weight and strength training center, a swimming pool, as well as numerous places that track and field and other outdoor activities can occur. Phase 4 will be to create a National Sports Academy with the residential, academic, and technical sport components. A great example of this can be seen in the Puerto Rico National Sporting Academy. It has a wall of champions, just like us, with international as well as Olympic champions on it. The school has 3 parts. It is residential, so students go home on the weekend, but they have a long school day. They have a cafeteria that is really professional and well done so that the students are getting the right nutrition. In addition, they have a public school where they can do all their regular classes. The Olympic Committee has provided many venues for them. They have wrestling and judo and fencing, all as separate buildings provided by the Olympic Committee, as well as volleyball, and a swimming pool complete with diving platform. There is also a sports medicine university attached. So the sports college will already be up and running at COB. We will then use our existing national assets and resources, such as the stadium and the swimming complex and the Kendall GL Isaacs gym, which can be used for multiple sports. We will target certain disciplines so that we know that with sufficient time we can win at them. What's left is to build the residential and the educational component. A massive media campaign will have to be undertaken consisting of internet, television, radio, newspapers, and magazines, both traditional as well as social media. As was previously stated, an act must be established to ensure the autonomy of the National Sport Academy Council. The Council will report to the Minister of Sport. There will be a board of directors consisting of the Director of Sport from the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, the Director of Sport from the Ministry of Education, the Chairman/Executive Director, and 2 high-profile private sector persons. The executive team will consist of an executive director, a deputy director, and a full-time office administrator. The Coaches College, private academies, and the National Sport Academy will report directly to this executive team. Centers of Excellence will report to the National Sport Academy. Later on, the Coaches College will be filled with part-time and full-time coaches that will be talent selected from the various programs. If we can't find a qualified Bahamian for a particular coaching specialty, we can bring in international coaches per the Olympic Committee or per our country agreement with Cuba. Private academies have already begun to flourish. In order to get the best use of all of the human resources of the country, these academies will be inventoried and reviewed with a view to accredit, regulate, and facilitate them. The government will build its own National Sport Academy, and with these academies and the centers of excellence, there will be a sport component, a residential component, and an academic component. In this way, the entire system will produce the best athletes for the country. It's time to act. The Right Honorable Prime Minister on July 1st expressed the urgency to build a National Sports Academy. This is so that we can become a regional sporting hub, which will create great benefits to our people, as well as produce multiple international and world level champions. This concludes our presentation of the National Sports Academy Blueprint.